How could you? How could anybody treat other people that way? How could you murder 6 million Jewish people, including my father, and millions of others? It was not a human thing to do. My name is Steen Metz. I was born May the 5th, 1935, and I'll be 84 years old in a couple of weeks. I was a very happy boy. I was almost 8 years old, and I was on vacation with my parents. And it's amazing that we were able to go on vacation, even though Denmark was occupied. But we had a good time, and I have some good memories before we were arrested, in sharp contrast to the very bad feeling I didn't quite understand when we were arrested. I was 8 years old, and at that time, I didn't know I was Jewish. I had not been brought up in the Jewish faith. And I didn't quite understand why they came after me, being 8 years old, and I didn't understand why was I different, and it was a big shock. And then, of course, the time afterwards in camp was just terrible. We were transported in a cattle car. Historians refer to it as a boxcar, a rail car, which is fine. It was completely dark. There were no lights inside. There were no windows. There were no chairs. There were no benches. And there were 4 children about my age. We were able to lie down. The rest of the people, the adults, had to alternate between sitting and standing for over 3 days and 3 nights. It's amazing that everybody survived in the cattle car, because it was a terrible, terrible I don't know what was worse, being in the cattle car or being in the concentration camp. I was in a concentration camp called Madison. That's the Czech version. Theresienstadt would be the German version. And it was a concentration camp like a prison. It was not an extermination camp with gas chambers like Auschwitz-Birkenau. I was there for 18 months, and it seemed a long, long time. And I sometimes compare it to the 20 years since I was retired. 20 years went very, very fast, especially when you get to my age. And then the 18 months I was in camp, and it was only 18 months, and it seemed to me to take a long, long time. Well, my family was there, my father and my mother. We were all separated. My father would be with the men in barracks for men. I was able to stay with my mother in barracks for women. Normally I would have stayed in a dormitory with other children, but somehow my mother managed to persuade the authorities that I could stay with her. And I saw my father from time to time, and it was very, very sad. I lost my father after less than 6 months in camp. He died of starvation. I'm not so sure that I fully understood what was happening. And I don't know when you're 8 or 9 years old that you think along those lines. But I know my mother was asked the question many times, and she said, I would never give up hope. I couldn't afford to give up hope, especially not after my father passed away and being a single parent. And she made reference to other people that gave up hope and they didn't make it. I want my legacy to be a person that was able to share some terrible times. I think it's very, very important, as I mentioned earlier, that we never forget the Holocaust. It's become my passion to talk to students. Today I talked to students at Barrington High School, and they were very, very attentive. And I asked each person, each student, to talk to at least 4 people. Tell them that you know the Holocaust took place because you listened to an eyewitness. It's very, very important because there was a research findings recently, 41% of all Americans didn't know about extermination camps like Auschwitz. 65% of millennials didn't know about it. There are increased amount of anti-Semitism. There are more and more Holocaust deniers in the world, and we must never forget it. We must learn from the past and transform the future.